is CBS News Miami.
Off the top at 4, we continue to follow breaking news in southern Miami-Dade. A brush fire has burned more than 3,000 acres. Card Sound Road and US 1 are closed due to the fire. It is blocking traffic to and from the Keys. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue says more than 15 units, including 2 water trucks and air rescue, are working to contain the fire. Last night, officials said the fire was only 20% contained. It is unclear how much progress has been made since that time. Dry conditions have helped keep that fire active. CBS News Miami's Maribel Rodriguez was with the Florida Forest Service for a ride-along as they continue to fight the fire.
We're getting closer and closer to this fire, which has burned close to 3,600 acres, and only 20% are contained. So we're getting close to the fire, and we're here with Kevin. So Kevin, tell us how many officials are out here right now working on this fire.
Well, you can see Miami-Dade out in front of us here. I'm not sure how many of them are here, but there's 15 of us out here currently working this.
And you've been working on it for several days already.
Yes, it's...
And the main thing is trying to contain it. That's the big issue.
Yep. Trying to contain it with roads, existing barriers, like power lines, natural barriers. We're going to have to stop here. And
you were mentioning that right now it's very hard to get in there because it's so wet, and if you take your equipment to get in there, put the fire out, it's going to put your men at danger.
Because the ground is so soft, it's very swampy, the equipment is going to sink. We had issues with that the first 2 nights that we were on the other side next to Turkey Point. Right. Our equipment we kept trying to put it out, but our equipment kept sinking, and that just made the operation just twice as hard and dangerous.
And that was Maribel Rodriguez reporting. We're going to have much more from her at 5. Next Weather Chief Meteorologist Ivan Cabrera joins us now. Ivan, the Next Weather team has issued a Next Weather alert for smoke concerns.
Absolutely, smoke concerns. And in fact, I don't think they have made that much progress. And I say that because we monitor it on our Next Weather radar, and I continue to see plumes, which I'll show you in a second. But the Next Weather alert is for smoke, particularly after sunset in the upper Keys and spreading across southern Miami-Dade as the winds relax. When that happens, smoke is no longer blowing, the temperature's cool, and that smoke tends to come down to the ground. So my advice to you in southern Miami-Dade and the upper Keys, because of the dropping air quality I'm expecting after sunset, just limit your time outside and particularly close your windows as we see this kind of developing here. So again, we still have those closures on Card Sound Road, and look at the plume of smoke. It has not let up over the last several hours. So this is the fire here, and you can see the winds pushing everything towards the west, over towards the Everglades. And so long as that happens, we're doing pretty good as far as the air quality, because the smoke is above and moving away from populated areas. On Next Weather Smoke Tracker, a whole different story here as we lose the winds through tonight. Watch the clock here. The smoke continues blowing out of the east to the west, generally to the north and west, but watch what happens after sunset. Again, it begins to kind of spread out, no longer seeing the wind as the winds will begin to relax, and now you're looking at a situation where that smoke could certainly drop the air quality significantly across not just southern Dade, but again into the upper Keys through the morning hours. So that's going to continue to be a problem. Case in point here with the gust tracker, 50 to 20 mile an hour winds is where we are right now. Watch what happens here through the evening hours, 5 to 10, and through the overnight, that's less than 5. We could have a situation where the winds actually can go calm or very close to that. That is not what you want, because then the smoke has nowhere to go but down, right? And that's the concern through tonight and into the early part of tomorrow. And then we have another concern. The red flag warning is going to be back, because now we have too much wind for tomorrow, and the relative humidity is going to tank again. So here come the winds out of the southwest. Any smoke would get blown to the north and east. Any additional fires would blow any smoke towards all of our populated metros, including Broward and Miami-Dade. No burning tomorrow. National Weather Service is already on top of this. They've issued a red flag warning, a fire weather warning for tomorrow, because of that low relative humidity and those gusty winds that we're expecting. After all this is done tomorrow, we are still expecting that front to come in. It is causing more problems than anything because really it's just going to whip up the winds. On Friday, we're going to wind reversal here, so we'll get a northwest wind, and that's what's going to usher in cooler temperatures. But at this point here, really not going to be my concern. It is tomorrow, particularly tonight through the early part of tomorrow. Next weather alert is going to continue in effect, and it'll coincide as well with that red flag warning before we hopefully begin to see some improvement here as the winds come down late Friday and heading into the weekend. On your next weather 7-day forecast, you'll see that into Saturday and Sunday. Our next best chance of rain, which we desperately need, not just for the fires, but for the drought, is not looking that great. It's about 10 to 20% on Monday, and our best case scenario would be some showers, perhaps a couple of thunderstorms with the next front by Tuesday.
Ivan, thank you. The Key Biscayne Village Council and Police Chief are trying to reassure residents that there have been no safety issues for medical emergency vehicles using the Rickenbacker Causeway. Residents are demanding something be done to make it easier for them to get on and off the island. They say during special events and major beach holidays, they get trapped for 2 to 3 hours. At last night's Village Council meeting, residents raised signs reading "Enough is enough." They say their basic rights and safety are at risk.
I have a husband that's had 1 heart attack, and I'm very concerned whether we should stay on the Key.
We sit in congestion while cyclists and event attendees receive VIP treatment from the county as they force us to wait while making sure the concert goers or cyclists have uninterrupted use of the causeway. The Rickenbacker is our only way on and off the island. We are not tourists. We are residents whose lives and access to our homes have been completely disrupted.
More than 2,000 residents have signed a petition demanding the establishment of a resident-only emergency lane, among other demands. The Village Council says they have a meeting planned for Monday with Miami-Dade regarding these issues. The mayor of Miami Beach has dropped his issue regarding his threat against O Cinema. It follows the controversial screening of the Oscar-winning documentary No Other Land about the West Bank. The mayor was upset with the screening, saying it depicts anti-Semitism. He brought forth a resolution that would defund the theater and terminate their lease. But after public opposition, he shut down that proposal. We're going to have a reaction to that decision coming up tonight at 5. And now to the latest in the war in Ukraine. President Trump is describing a call this morning with Ukraine's president as very good. It comes a day after he spoke with Russia's president about peace in the region. CBS News Miami's Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
Following a phone call Wednesday with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, President Trump said, quote, "Everything is on track." It follows President Trump's Tuesday phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, where the two leaders say they agreed to a ceasefire covering energy and infrastructure.
The leaders agreed Ukraine and America will continue working together to bring about a real end to the war.
Tuesday's agreement fell short of a full 30-day ceasefire. And hours after the Putin call, Russian strikes damaged a hospital in Ukraine. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz says teams are heading to Saudi Arabia to try to hammer out terms of the ceasefire.
We are going back and forth at every level, driving both sides towards a ceasefire and driving both sides towards an end to this war.
Experts on the region say it remains to be seen where negotiations go from here.
What seems clear to me is Putin is at a minimum holding out for more time just to try and take as much territory as possible.
Back in Washington, the administration is facing a series of legal setbacks. On Fox News, President Trump criticized judges who ruled against him.
These are judges that shouldn't be allowed. I think at a certain point you have to start looking at what do you do when you have a rogue judge.
The comments follow a rare rebuke from Chief Justice John Roberts after President Trump called for the impeachment of the judge in the latest case over deportation flights. Roberts said in part, for more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The White House said Wednesday President Trump has great respect for the Chief Justice. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Still ahead, 2 astronauts are finally on U.S. soil. We're in Houston, where the astronauts are now under evaluation. The Federal Reserve decided to keep interest rates unchanged for a second straight meeting. The Fed signaled that it still expects to cut rates twice this year, but that outlook is more uncertain with potential tariffs on the table. The Fed expects the unemployment rate to tick up slightly to 4.4%. Astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams are now in Houston. They're getting evaluated before heading home. They spent 9 months instead of a week in space. CBS News Miami's Karen Hua is in Houston with what's next.
Splashdown, Crew 9 back on Earth.
Astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams may be back on Earth, but their mission to regain normalcy has just begun. This video shows the pair landing at Ellington Field in Houston just before midnight aboard NASA 5.
We'll celebrate for a while how really resilient Butch and Sunny were the whole time.
Some happy waves, smiles all around.
The SpaceX Dragon carrying Wilmore and Williams splashed down off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida Tuesday evening, greeted by a pod of dolphins.
Oh, dolphin cam back again.
Ignition. The two astronauts launched on the first human test flight of the Boeing Starliner in June of last year. But the vessel developed propulsion problems and, for safety reasons, returned to Earth without them, stretching their planned 8-day mission to 9 months. Wilmore and Williams are expected to spend a day or two here at the Johnson Space Center as medical staff evaluate them to make sure they're readjusting to the pull of gravity back here on Earth.
You try not to stand up too much. You're just trying to get the whole head on shoulders thing figured out.
Dr. Tom Marshburn, chief astronaut for Sierra Space, has done 3 tours on the ISS. He says their next challenge will be both physical and mental.
Physically, if you're an athlete, and all of them are athletes, then 3 months probably before they feel like they're back in shape. Mentally, they just need rest. Even just the gravity thing is exhausting.
During their extended mission, Williams and Wilmore conducted more than 150 experiments. While NASA is celebrating their return, no one could be happier than their families, eager to see them on the ground. Karen Hua, CBS News, Houston.
That's the CBS News Miami Quickcast. I'm Najahe Sherman. Stay tuned for more news right here on CBS News Miami, and have a great day.